think I can call the meeting to order. We have, I guess, I don't know if there's any reason to revise the agenda or not. I don't think so. We should probably do it. No one from the public here, unless Steve is, I think this is here for a particular reason. And that reason is the application from the Miramar Ski Club, application number 4240-CU. And requesting a side setback waiver down to 20 feet for relocation of expanded storage shed. You did make a brief presentation at our last meeting.
Yes.
And I don't know if we need to hear that again after the site visit or not.
Give a little for the public, if anyone's watching.
Oh, that's true.
Give a little,
Just a
notice that we had.
1 minute summary.
Sure, so,
You come on up, Steve.
oh, yeah. Some years ago, we had built a shed to honor, one of our members who passed away tragically. The shed was not, frankly, it was more of a gazebo, it wasn't enclosed. It wasn't secure storage, and it was a very awkward area far from the lodge. So we would like to move it closer to the lodge, enclose it so it's secure, and expand it so it also serve as a woodshed and a tool shed, as in addition to bicycle and, lawn furniture storage. We had previously had a woodshed in that general area that we took down to make room for this new structure. So the purpose of the structure really is for secure storage close to the lodge, and also to, keep the existing structure to honor the memory of our member who passed. Also, you should know that, the area behind our lodge is constrained by a leach field and a propane tank and a flood zone. So there's not, the place we would like to put it is really the only place where we can put it, close to the lodge where it will serve its function. So, thank you.
We did do a site visit. Was there any change in findings, facts relative to that site visit? The measurements and everything?
The measurements, John, you want to speak to the measurements we had?
Yeah, I think the measurements were within a margin of error, perhaps is the way to state it, of what your application said, that it was not precise in some of the dimensions. Steve came at the end and I stayed with him, and we also measured the width of the building, which is more than 12 feet. It's like 12 feet, 4 inches. And so if the measurements were more precise, you'd probably have to be slightly further away, one corner slightly further away from the property line, the stake closest to the house. That begs the question of, did we really know where the property line was? You're still not even if everything's precise, you're still not in the septic field. You're not over the manhole covers for the tank. But that's where we are. Where is the property line? I guess we were led to believe it was the edge of the building is on the property line, or?
Correct. The edge of the building is on the property line. And what I did, and yes, there is some margin of error here in the, probably, maybe up to half a foot, 6 inches. But what I did was, it's a little difficult because the edge of the building is also covered by vegetation, so it's hard to access.
Yeah.
So, and then there's a little offset from there. So I measured things out, and then I measured from the edge of the building, that distance, put a stake down, drew a string to another post, and just, sort of, that's how I measured it out. But yeah, it was me measuring it out. and I'm not a surveyor, so.
So
Yeah.
just visually, it looks at, and Steve's keen eye said if the edge of the building is the property line, the one stake closest to the building is out of skew, but again, how far? Is it far enough to cause the setback to have to be more than we have the authority to grant? I personally don't think so, but it's something we can all.
And I would just offer that there are no controlling surveys on file, for either Miramar or the Robillard property. I guess if I could ask a question, have you guys ever thought about getting a survey done to definitively figure out your boundaries?
The only survey I have I had included, which was from when they purchased the lodge back in the sixties. And I included that survey in the application.
Yeah, it doesn't,
But
I don't think it shows the building though, is it?
Oh, that's the building.
Oh, yeah. It is right on the property line, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's how you picked it up.
Do you have a large print copy of this? Have you filed in the way records?
Yes.
Steve, you look like you have a question?
No, I didn't, what John and I talked about it there, just eyeballing it, and I realized it's tough climbing through bushes with strings and stuff, having done that, it's tough, but just trying to get as close, so I took the far corner peg you had, just looking up as best you can to see where the building line is, they seem to be off a little bit, that's all, but I understand completely how you said you went about it. So it's probably just something as we go forward and you physically go to do something, if you get approved, to make sure it's truly on that line. Or away,
Yeah.
we're away from the actual line as far as we say it should be, is probably a better way to put it, that's all,
Okay.
It can be more, not less.
yes.
Well, we have, as far as the setback. You know, it said, and the math says we could go to 15,
17 and a half.
17 and a half feet, I'm sorry, yeah. So no matter how imprecise your measurements are, I would think they're gonna easily make that restriction.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it will probably be, more than the 20 feet. Because I think there's about a foot and a half of wiggle room in my calculations of where the leach field is and how far I could go. So, yeah, it's my intention to try to, get it as far from the property line as I can. I just want to take into account the moving of the building, and I don't know how precise the contractor could be in moving what he can do it down to like an inch or within like half a foot. So.
You can get it down to an inch
Yeah.
if you have a surveyor show them where, and I say he, she, they can get it
And moving that,
precisely.
especially if you're gonna move that foundation, if you will, of the building right now, you can move that pretty precisely unless you're there with a pry bar, but if you have a little tractor or something and nudge it along, you can, again, I've done that and you can get pretty darn precise on it, so it's not just plus or minus 6 feet.
Wouldn't the tractor have to be on a septic field though?
Yeah, or if you had times, you kind of from the side work it out or get behind it, if you will. There's ways to do
Is
it.
your tractor big enough, Steve?
What do you do next Saturday?
Take me about 5 days to get down there.
So I brought up in the last meeting, JB, a question on the size and scale of this shed and increasing that size. So there's a setback waiver being asked for, but it's also not conforming to a shed, and then we're doubling it.
Yes, and so my response was that when we do non-conforming structure analysis, it's usually for expansion of a structure that's already non-conforming. And so in this situation, this was a conforming structure, is being relocated, so.
But it was conforming in the place it was permitted,
Not where it is now.
Yeah.
not where it's been,
I'm
Now it's
just looking
not
for, I'm
permitted
just
where
looking
it
for to
is.
do the math.
like, we're trying to get a permit to move it where it is. And it's not a shed size, and then we're doubling. So I just wanted to make sure that doesn't create
What's it?
precedent
It's an
for.
accessory structure, right?
Mhm.
This is ag res, not
Correct.
Irisville.
Yep.
And to your point, I read in JV's write-up, I guess it's the new number 12, an addition or expansion of an existing structure. Okay. Which, what Chris is saying, if you have this building that we're doubling or expanding,
But we've moved its location. It's not like where it was and the neighbors are like, oh, you're doubling it and you're scooching.
Yeah.
It's been.
Trying to see whether the math works for the non-conforming structure analysis.
Yeah.
That is where we get it, yes.
Yeah.
So. Non-conforming structures, section 3.08. So, this is, so the reason I didn't get into this analysis, and maybe it's my literal interpretation. In accordance with the act, non-conforming structures existing on the effective date of these regulations, so. This was moved prematurely. So prior it was we could just think of this as a new structure in essence. And so I didn't go into the analysis here because I don't think it fits, because we're not talking about an existing non-conforming structure. Now, we could do the math, and I think that might be an important exercise. Does not increase the total volume or area of the non-conforming portion of the structure in existence prior to March of 5th, 2002. So I understand where you're going.
If I hit pause on the non-conforming
Mhm,
and go to, okay, it's a new structure.
mhm.
What are we permitting as a new structure? We're permitting something more like a garage than a shed?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just a standard setback waiver as we've gone through before. I went back and forth a little bit on this too, but I took a literal interpretation. Non-conforming structures existing on the effective date of these regulations. So again, it's existing now only because it was prematurely moved. May be allowed to continue indefinitely, subject to the following: may undergo normal repair, may be restored or reconstructed, may be structurally enlarged, expanded, or moved upon approval of the administrative officer, provided the enlargement or expansion or relocation does not increase the degree of non-compliance. And then we get into the math here. Does not increase the total volume or area of the non-conforming portion of the structure in existence prior to March 5, 2002 by more than 50%. So I struggle with how to actually analyze this scenario.
Because it didn't
Right.
exist
And so
prior.
usually for my time here, when we do a side setback waiver, we don't go into this sort of analysis. And I would stand by that. That's, I struggle with coming up with how to work that, but I totally, I was there with you, Chris. I tried to figure out a way to apply that. We could just look at the math, even if this doesn't necessarily apply, and try to see what's the percentage of compliance versus non-compliance.
Well,
But we haven't
to the
done that
extent
before.
It's gonna be non-complying, the existing 24-foot section. If you add 6 to each end, that doesn't increase the degree of
It
non-conformance.
wouldn't, it would not fail this analysis. So like even if we called it an existing, if we were to place it now, I think the math would work here. It would still be.
Well, I'm not sure the math applies, because.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
The structure was not in existence prior to March.
And that's why I didn't go into it.
But if they expand the structure, it does not increase the degree of non-conformance, does it? The whole thing's gonna be a certain distance away from the property line, less than
But-
25 feet.
But what is so we're talking about setback waiver, but is it a permit for a new structure? And is that structure?
There is, so it's a setback waiver and then there's a underlying zoning permit for the structure itself.
And that's an accessory structure that's not a shed, like when you're allowed to have 3 shed, because you don't get a permit for a shed. I just got there on my own.
Okay. No, if just the existing portion that is now without the expansion was permitted with the side setback waiver, and then you came to expand it, then we would be going into this analysis.
Isn't that dependent upon the size of the shed?
I thought the 10 by.
A 100, it's 100 square feet, 100 square foot is the exemption for a shed.
So this is 16 by.
This is much.
So we
better.
don't need a permit for a 10 by 10. This is getting a permit, so thereby.
Yes, yeah.
Meets.
Yeah, we are.
That was the
Well, we are-
Stuck on.
We are increasing the size by 75% too, another way to look at it,
It is, but I mean, I think it's
you know,
easier looking at this as just a new
A
structure.
new structure
yeah.
that is being given information.
That's good.
No, I had to, sorry, I had to block.
Yeah, no, and I wrap my, was having struggle with that too. And as I mentioned before, if, if Steve had proposed moving the structure as is to somewhere that satisfied the setbacks, I would have just asked for an amendment, made a note in the zoning file, taken a fee for the town and called it a day. But in this instance, it was brought up other issues.
Well, there's nothing in our regs. I don't know that there's anything in the state regs that deal with distance from a septic field where you put a structure. But there's certainly nothing in our regs.
Yeah,
But I'm sure you recognize, Steve, that in an ideal world, you wouldn't want to put something that close, because if you have problems, I think it'll end up being on top of your concrete, what do you call
Tank.
them? Tank. So if you ever had a problem and you had to replace the tank, it would be a challenge. But
Okay.
that's your problem. It's not something that we can try to dictate.
Mhm.
I would, and so when I first met with Steve over there, I reached out to Georgia McCain, who actually picked up the phone. Did some work and called me back in a few minutes. I reached out to Grenier, to Chris Austin, actually. And they both had difficulty, and I put that in the packet. With this, you know, it's a free floating structure. There's kind of a gray area. And it would be my advice, should the board approve it, that you try to seek out some absolute clarity on the distance to the leach field before anything is done, would be, if you were to be
Okay.
approved.
Yeah. Yeah, I could reach out to.
And maybe even calling,
A vendor.
or even DEC in Montpelier,
Uh-huh.
and trying to get somebody who could answer that question for you.
And I-
Am I the only one concerned about it being a free floating structure? I mean,
Yeah.
that red,
In Irene,
that red
does the
thing
water
isn't
come
too
in your
far away.
backyard?
Not that far up. Not that far up.
I would think you'd wanna, personally, if I was doing it, I'd wanna anchor it down somehow,
Mm,
so that, especially it didn't move onto your septic and or leach field, you know?
It wouldn't take that much, right? You
No.
put some
Yeah.
steel bars in and
Yeah,
attach
yeah.
them to the side and.
Yeah,
Okay.
JB, just to back up what John was saying about if you're gonna put a note in afterwards, if this gets approved. I would also say about, I think John mentioned it, the tanks, not just the leach field, but there's a couple manholes there. Who knows how big the concrete or whatever structures are underneath, start overlaying them, same issue.
Mhm.
I don't know how big they are,
well, I
Yeah.
assume with the number of people,
gotta be big.
it's gotta be at least 2,000 gallons anyway.
Yeah, I'm not certain, but I mean, I can and I will check up on that, and I guess the solution might be. It wouldn't have to go any closer to the property line, but I could move it closer to the river. You know, put it down
You certainly would want to be careful then to not go too far.
and not into
Yeah.
The infamous red area.
Yes, yes. Well, the flood zone does not come up to the leach field.
Mhm.
So
It must come pretty close to it
a
though,
little bit, because I mean, this used to be an old, a grist mill.
yeah,
And the river was diverted and would run underneath the logs.
Oh,
I,
wow.
I assume.
Yeah, so this is, right there is like an old canal where the water would go underneath the lodge and then come out
I
there.
assume we're doing. Leach field like that, I would think. You know, if your septic tank is here,
Mhm.
the normal thing would be to, you know. Run it out of the septic tank and into a leach
Yeah.
field.
Well, the leach field ends about around here. You can tell because this is the retaining wall,
Right,
so, you know, that's how I judge it in that photo. And the shed would be like there.
Right, right. Right.
Where you
Well,
Did-
Who do, yeah, it's been to the property line.
as long as we're bantering, there is an opportunity in housing this to also make some sort of screen air structure for your garbage dumpsters, but you're not doing that. That's not what you're proposing.
I'm sorry, screened in, yeah.
For those dumpsters that are just standing there,
Oh, I would love that.
you
I
know,
would love that,
So-
but, you know,
The truck can't
ask
get it.
Casella.
well, yeah, it would mean not putting the shed where they want to put the shed.
Oh, see what you mean, move it back to where it was.
Or up, on the street side of the garden, but.
You're gonna make it a short haul for the firewood from the shed to the house, I guess.
Yes.
Right?
So when you marked on this part of your submission,
Mhm,
shed here,
yeah,
that's. Is that where the shed is proposed, or is that the former shed, or? Is
No,
that, that's the current location?
that's
That
the
was
current
the shed,
location, yeah,
That's the current location, but it's just turned.
yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
So that
You
he
have to
circled the wood shed in the picture.
Yes.
But he's
that's where the,
not putting a square shed, but that's the square shed.
that's where the new shed is proposed, but it's just going the other way.
yeah, you have to figure.
Well, you can see the old one,
Architectural.
I mean, the old
Graphics
location,
still.
and,
Yeah.
yeah.
My glasses. Um. I took drafting in high school, but that was quite some time ago. You have to forgive my skills.
Yeah, I think the location's right, just with the. What you call it,
The circle is a square.
yeah,
Circles.
It's represented on the.
Yep.
Dimensioned.
all right, any other questions for Steve while he's here?
I have one question on the write-up.
Sure.
On number 19. I don't know if I could just be having a brain freeze. Last sent applicant proposes stakes have been placed where the closest edge of the shed would be to the Robillard property or 15 feet therefrom. We've been talking about 20 feet?
Yes, that was a mistake. I apologize.
Okay,
So
so
that was,
okay,
sorry, that's absolutely
fine.
20. Yeah, it's a good catch. And that this was written before, as I said, when I went out the other day before I updated the packet, things were a little bit unclear, so I was corresponding with Steve via email. And so today was much more helpful. Yes, thanks for catching that.
it does say 6:15.
You're glad for punishment.
Up to the third,
So we're not trying to go to 17, but we're going to 20 feet.
That's the
Yeah.
proposal.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other points of clarification or questions?
I'm good.
John? All right,
Can I bring up one thing?
maybe.
Okay, I would like to, just because of the proximity, if the board is willing, depending on the decision, to submit this to the regional floodplain manager just for just for safety purposes, is that? I know it's outside the maps SFHA, but something to consider. Just,
Would that be for guidance for?
it would be for
Tide that-
guidance, because you brought up
Permit?
not having, being a free floated structure.
Right,
The existing structure, if a flood were to happen and, it go past the map floodway, it's open-ended. And that's the type of structure that's preferred, in the proximity of the SFHA. And the proposal encloses everything, with the exception of one side, so I would recommend, I would feel more comfortable, if approval were given, that we condition it on the okay from the.
and I'm just trying to, I don't disagree with the concept, but is the feedback that you would get
Mhm.
guidance or a condition?
I would think it would be guidance because it is outside the map.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah, just as close enough that,
And I think that would be. a
well, I think it would be
idea
good for
here.
you all.
How long would that take?
Actually, well, Ned has got a associate, so things are happening much quicker. So I imagine within a day or two.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
that probably shouldn't hold you up too much.
Okay.
And I think it would
That's
just,
fine.
it is,
But-
location is most certainly outside the
Yeah.
flood zone,
Mhm.
a special flood hazard
But
area, but I
close to
think
it.
it's close to it, and I think at the very least, it might provide you guidance on how you might wanna construct
Okay,
it, should
so
it be
that,
approved.
that'd be useful, and I have no objections to anchoring it,
Mhm, okay.
as you suggested, by just, putting some steel poles in and.
Just cause you never know, if they're
Sure.
getting worse.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want that floating into my
Sure.
lodge.
Yeah, yeah.
Or down the hill.
Or
Down
down
the
the
hill.
hill, or, yeah.
Sorry, Duncan, that's, I just wanted to get.
I'll make a motion that, we close it in.
Second.
Motion on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So now. We're done.
We're done, okay.
Well,
We deliberate
we deliberate.
to reach a final decision and the conditions of the decision, and then you'll get it in writing shortly.
Okay,
Sounds like days.
days, okay.
Well,
But,
Christmas days.
yeah, things are backed up right now, might be looking at a week, couple weeks, but yeah,
Couple weeks.
yeah. Usually it's
Just
days, but.
days.
It's
So,
more, not
Yeah.
more. All right, well, thank you very much.
thank you,
John.
thank you very much.
Good evening.
Yeah.
You do.
Then we have approval of the minutes. Well, there's a,
It has a date of April
XXX.
29th.
there's
I
also
think it
sort of
was
a
August
XXX.
something.
Oh, yeah.
Four X's. I'm not sure what that was about.
Well, it's where do we want to post the notices? I think it was very great.
When do we make the 13th? It's 12th.
12th, yeah. In the town office, the ways to post off in the village grocery, has to be XXX.
That was it?
That's it?
They
On the
cleared.
last page,
Oof, oof, oof.
couple lines up, there's a XXX with yellow.
Yeah, that should be the village grocery. VG,
That's what
Should be,
we were
VG,
just
village
talking
grocery.
about that,
Yeah.
yeah. You don't get any credit for catching that, John. But good try.
I'll let them the credit.
All those, no, we have to have a motion, don't we?
Set the minutes.
Is there a
Amended?
motion to accept the minutes as amended?
I so move.
Second,
I'll second it.
you were here. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nobody.
Nothing currently on the horizon.
So this other thing is not part of the official meeting?
It's not.
Okay.
Well, we better schedule something at Lawson's.
Yeah.
You falling off the wagon?
No, it's just
Yeah.
important,
Yeah.
building camaraderie,
Relationships.
team
Yep.
spirit.
Yes, yep, I agree. Yeah, nothing pending right now, and certainly open to suggestions to have a summit.
Okay.
Our next meeting, is that?
Meeting, yeah. Good day.
Move to adjourn the meeting?
Well, do you want to figure this out
We're
first?
scheduling the.
Oh, schedule what?
9-2
Well-
next Tuesday? Oh, I have planning commission, 9-9.
9-9? 9-9, yeah.
Where's my calendar?
It happens to be a Tuesday. Your calendar should say DRB hearing.
It does. So that's what we,
To
so
at
we,
Lawson's.
so we, well,
don't even
still
have to
a
tell anyone.
DRB.
What time?
Well, they shut down at
7,
7, right?
5:30?
5:30 maybe?
Of course, that's pending submission of a sketch plan review, which does remind me. There actually is a application on the horizon. I think that it'll be October or November, but that is the, if you've gone up, North Road, kind of where Lois and Marty DeHere live. Well, there's the 30 acres that was kind of clear cut. Everybody been up there?
Oh, yeah.
And so, they received numerous state violations for stormwater violation. They've all been cleared. It's a lovely couple who is gonna build a house there. They're permitted to bring a barn in there. It's an accessory dwelling for one set of parents, then the in-laws. So they're gonna come with a 4-lot subdivision from Mark Bannon. And that's either gonna be, he's shooting for the latter date in October or the second date in November.
North Road?
Yeah.
So is it on the other side of the Pine Bridge?
So if you come off Meadow and, yes, if you come off Meadow Road, you take a left.
Oh,
And
take a
then,
left. Oh, I
yeah,
thought
then
that was-
the old, there's Fred's
Okay,
house,
I
the old
see
pack
where all
house,
that-
yeah.
everything is.
So those violations have been cleaned up. There's a lot of stumping and some stormwater issues. But anyway, so they'll be coming with a
Who
4-lot
was their
subdivision.
logger?
I'm very unfortunately, which I'm surprised at, it was Chris Griffin's work that resulted in it, which I was very surprised with.
Maybe how many acres did they actually clear up?
Yeah, the parcel's about 30, I don't know, it was a lot of it, it was, yeah, it was a lot, and it caused definitely some eyebrows to be raised up there, and I believe one of the residents up the road was who initially informed the state. Just, I think kind of just more or less what's going on here doesn't look good,
Yeah,
as opposed to knowing that there's stormwater regulations per se, but they found some, so.
Allegedly, Mike Marino's been busy on the Shea Hill.
He was doing that, yes, yeah.
Very,
And certainly-
very
certainly-
profitable for him.
When that road comes in, that was a condition of their approval, and I think that'll be us, all of us, or at least me and the fire chief, and then the road foreman going up there and make sure the specs all match. And I imagine that'll be a complex determination. Like, we went through a lot with that road,
Yeah.
so.
Last time you said something about the median at Valero.
The meaning of Larry, yeah, I haven't heard about that in a while. I discouraged him from going down that road.
Okay.
Because I think that's not the kind of. I'm sure there's something in here, that's not how we want to see merged parcels with shared parking. That's not very villagey, and I'm pretty sure there's somewhere in the history.
There.
Yeah, exactly. He thinks he can get a lot more parking. I'm positive that when he first brought that up a couple years ago, there's something in old permitting, one of the, either for Valero or for Anna Dan and Paul Weber, where they owned it, that maintains that divide. And that makes sense, given you don't want two parcels that
No.
are connected with parking. That's just not how it works, so.
Now I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
I
Of adjourning? Aye, all right. Meeting is adjourned.